bus segregation illegal. Dr. King had demonstrated his skills as a leader and had experienced his first triumph in the fight for equality.
This is the way that we will get out of this dark night of oppression and make of this nation a better nation. It means that we can stand up, allow the opposition to know that we will not accept injustice. We will stand up against it with our lives, but we will never stoop down to the level of violence and hatred. And we will come to that point when we will be able to convince him that a new world is emerging.
The next year, 1957, King and others formed the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC. This important group trained people in the methods and principles of nonviolent resistance, thus creating a core of leaders for the expanding civil rights movement, which would soon reach enormous nationwide proportions. That same year, 1957, Dr. King made his first national address from a civil rights rally in Washington. Later in 1957, a second child was born to Martin and Coretta Scott King. Throughout the late 1950s, King stood at the forefront of the movement.
We feel that we are right. We have a legitimate gripe, a legitimate protest.
Like many other black leaders, he was arrested numerous times for activities in violation of what were deemed repressive laws throughout the South. King would later write, "I was proud of my crime. It was the crime of joining my people in a nonviolent protest against injustice. It was the crime of seeking to instill within my people a sense of dignity and self-respect. It was the crime of desiring for my people the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It was above all the crime of seeking to convince my people that non-cooperation with evil is just as much a moral duty as cooperation with good."
And we feel also that one of the great glories of American democracy is that we have the right to protest far right. This is a non-violent protest. We are depending on moral and spiritual forces, using the method of passive resistance. Even if we have to receive violence, we will not return violence.
Late in 1958, King was stabbed in the chest by a deranged assailant as he autographed copies of his first book, Stride Toward Freedom.
The pathetic aspect of this experience is not the injury to one individual. It demonstrates that a climate of hatred and bitterness so permeates areas of our nation that inevitably deeds of extreme violence must erupt.
After a lengthy recovery, Martin and Coretta Scott King departed on a month-long visit to India in early 1959. King wrote of his visit that he left India more convinced than ever before that nonviolent resistance is the most potent weapon available to oppressed people in their struggle for freedom.
God is not interested merely in the freedom of black men and brown men and yellow men. God is interested in the freedom of the whole human race and the creation of a society.
1960 was a critical year for the movement.
The clock of destiny is ticking out.
All right, let's stop it right here.
The hour is late, and we must act now before it is too late.
The signs of oppression were still everywhere to be seen and heard throughout America. Earlier that year, a handful of college students in Greensboro, North Carolina, were driven out of anger and frustration to challenge the practice of denying service to blacks. The black students occupied a lunch counter at Woolworth's, where they were ordered to leave.
This problem must be solved in the United States because segregation and discrimination are morally wrong.
Within a few days, students were filling the seats at lunch counters throughout the city, and a new term, as well as a new tactic in the struggle for civil rights, was born: the sit-in. King welcomed the spontaneous new direction in civil rights activities and became involved with the student movement early, realizing the importance of supporting a younger generation in the struggle for equality. With King's influence, the student movement quickly grew in stature throughout the South and the nation, largely under the direction of the newly formed Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, known as SNCC. From this time forth, a great deal of the civil rights movement's energy would come from the students. But in later years, the younger factions would also provide the greatest internal challenge to the nonviolent basis for the movement.
I hope that every American, regardless of where he lives, will stop and examine his conscience. This nation was founded by men of many nations and backgrounds. It was founded on the principle that all men are created equal. Today we are committed to a worldwide struggle to promote and protect the rights of all who wish to be free. Are we to say to the world, and much more importantly, to each other, that this is a land of the free, except for the Negroes, that we have no second-class citizens, except Negroes, that we have no class or caste system, no ghettos, no master race, except with respect to Negroes.
Do you suffer from swelling or joint pain in your back, neck, knees, or elbows? Has the burden of pain taken over your quality of life? Don't give up and accept living a life with pain. If you are ready to find relief, try Omega XL.
Hi, my name is Blair Underwood. I've been in the movie and television business for over 30 years now. Being an actor in Hollywood is definitely glamorous, but also involves working 14, 15-hour days, walking nonstop around sets, and sometimes even jumping and running doing my own stunts when they let me. As you age, things start to feel different. Your body starts to ache. If inflammation settles in, so will pain. And I mean all kinds of pain. We're talking about muscle pain, joint pain, back pain, knee pain, hip pain, neck pain. When you're in pain, that's all you can think of. Since slowing down and stopping is not an option for me, I started taking Omega XL.
Hello, my name is Ken Mears. I'm the founder of Great Healthworks, the makers of Omega XL, the world's most powerful natural anti-inflammatory. It is derived from a green-lit mussel from the pristine waters of New Zealand. We believe there is no other product like it in the world. It's truly one of a kind. The green-lit mussel has an oil extract, and that oil is full of over 30 fatty acids.
This combination of fatty acids is not found anywhere else in any other product other than Omega XL. And it has been shown in clinical research to help with joint pain due to inflammation, which affects so many of us.
Join the millions of people who have found peace of mind with Omega XL, a natural drug-free alternative that has helped people relieve their pain for over 17 years, just as it has for trailblazing supermodel Beverly Johnson.
I was just in the film festival. You know, you have the fans out there waiting, and I literally would get out of the car and fake like my foot was asleep because I was so stiff I couldn't move. So when I started to feel those aches and pain that comes along with aging, I take my Omega XL. Every part of my life has changed dramatically. It's like I'm 20 years younger.
We all suffer from aches and pains, and now you have a natural way of dealing with it.
And what Omega XL does is it actually addresses the root cause of pain, which is inflammation. As you age, your body has a hard time producing anti-inflammatory substances. And where Omega XL comes in is that it really helps inflammation.
Are taking away from there's no pharmaceutical drug. It's small, easy to swallow, no aftertaste, is real change, it works.
Omega XL is a natural, powerful anti-inflammatory. Help deal with daily aches and pains and help you back to work, do things you love to do.
I love more than anything is play golf. I have found my life. I've had this problem with my shoulder. I started to go XL, and then my shoulder have total range of motion.
Pain, all that inflammation is real. Especially if you've been kind of manual labor work, feet, lifting, carrying, holding. Also amazing stories of people now living a better life.
Pain was I did XL, and I feel like I really felt pain. I mean, in my ankles and in my heels. I can tell you how bad that pain was. I found it like in the Omega XL. You get that joy back in life. I mean, just go for a walk.
XL has given me my life back. I would definitely recommend XL. It works. The more in my life. Up thought I could do everything that I had to do today is painless. It really does.
You don't need pain. Information controllable, make a match, and it's simple.
Definitely for the rest of my life. XL.
Call now, go to OmegaXL.com. A bottle of Omega XL got another absolutely free. That's $2 for only $39.95. Enroll in a convenient monthly auto shop and you'll save 30 on orders as backed by our 60-day back guarantee.
Well, it definitely top campaign, just like I did with Omega XL.
Order Omega XL today and save.
Now the time has come for this nation to fulfill its promise.
1966 was a presidential election year, and John F. Kennedy, many African Americans saw a chance for the first meaningful government action in the cause of equal rights and equal justice. America's black leadership strongly supported.
And I would say that are things that we must continue to dream of reality and save our nation in this hour.
On election day, most groups were divided equally. Kennedy and his opponent, Richard Nixon, only black Americans would have away. I think some In 1962, was in order as the first black student at the University of Mississippi. That occurred and 2 people were killed. In 1963, Medgar Evers, head of the Mississippi chapter of the NAACP, the oldest civil rights organization in America, was shot and killed outside his home. But the pressure for change continued, and the pressure was never greater than in 1963. Early in the year, Dr. King and other black leaders decided to focus on what they called the most segregated big city in the United States, Birmingham, Alabama.
He could call out the state militia. He could call out the National Guard and kill hundreds and hundreds of innocent people and argue that they are inciting a riot. They know how to handle violence, but they proved over and over again that they don't know how to handle nonviolence.
The black leaders planned a highly visible demonstration of their demands for equality. On April 12, 1963, 2 weeks after the birth of his 4th child, Dr. King, Reverend Ralph Abernathy, and 1,000 others marched toward downtown Birmingham. The marchers were in deliberate violation of an order by Police Commissioner Bull Connor expressly forbidding demonstrations. The mass arrests began. As expected, King and Abernathy were arrested and jailed along with many others. King was held for 24 hours and